Welcome to Elevate Today with Chris Thompkins. Today's guest is Barbara Melvin. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so we're recording right now, right? All right, feels good. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing with the podcast is starting off with this general talk, kind of pre-recording, if you will, pre-start. It's a pre-start. I don't know what me and these pre-things are, but I like the pre-stuff. Seems to be kind of working.
Okay.
So we have a little general conversation. Now, you down there in Naples, right?
Yes. Naples, Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm over here in Long Beach, California.
Okay.
And we both have sunshine and blue skies. And that's a gorgeous thing.
Yes.
So, I guess we gotta just start because I'm ready to ask you questions.
All righty. I'm ready
All
for
right,
you.
you ready? Because
I'm ready for you.
All right, Barbara Melvin. Welcome to Elevate Today with Chris Thompkins. I'm Chris Thompkins, your host, and everybody listening in, this is Barbara Melvin. Barbara Melvin, she's an amazing human being is the best way to describe it. Let me look. I have her bio, but I'm just going to read a little bit, Let's see. She was a vice president of a bank and did not even have a degree. Started off as a teller. She's had an exciting, extraordinary life. And she's accomplished so many things. Never given up. Just one amazing story after another. So to get Barbara to tell you what her life is about, you've got to go through all these different phases. And we're gonna try and jump on some of that. I know Barbara, she sits on boards of some great organizations. She's also the head of some really prestigious organizations and were also like they didn't even want to let her go. You're like, keep your name on here, right? But and I'm looking down at my paperwork when you see me looking down, but it wasn't always this way. So there's the story begins. Come on, tell us.
Yes. Well, thank you, Chris, for having me on your program. I truly appreciate you. And I love even the title, Elevate. I love that, to elevate, because that means so much to me. And my story is almost like most people. I was born and raised in a small town in Virginia called Blackstone. I always tell people, you blink, you miss it. We had a couple red lights. When they let you know you're in town, you drove about 5 minutes and they said, thank you for visiting. So we had a very small town that most people knew everybody. It was a farm workers town. So we had tobacco and cotton, and there really was nothing to do. So once you graduated high school, you either wanted to go to college, you wanted to go to work, or the armed forces, because there was nothing there to keep us. And, like many people, I had a couple scholarships, loved education, wanted to be a teacher, and ended up going to Detroit for 2 weeks. And 2 weeks turned to 14 years because I'm like, I'm not going back home. So, my journey was, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Here I am, 17 years old. I went to Detroit to be a babysitter. And once I lost my scholarships, I had to really think, what did I want to do? And the couple, there was a husband and wife, they decided to let me stay. And, I stayed for a couple of months, and then I'm like, okay, I need a real job. And I really went to work for Hardee's restaurant. While I was in there, a lady was like, you're so sweet. Have you ever thought about going into banking? And that's how my banking career started, And it was, ups and downs. I didn't have a degree. So people were always like, hey, without a degree, how can you be a manager? How can you train and teach? And I just forgot about the naysayers. And I said, you know what? I'm turning a no into a go, and I'm going to do it. So at 26, I was like the youngest manager. 28, I was the youngest vice president with no degree. So you can do it. You can do it.
My goodness. Congratulations. Turning a no into a go. I'm going to write that down. That's some serious gold nugget stuff right there.
That's going to be my book title.
Yes. But you moved from Detroit. Now I don't want to talk about your husband because I know he was in Motown because that was that time, right?
Oh, yeah.
That man could sing. So I've heard him. So but this is about you. We're going to talk about you, right? We ain't going to talk about him. You end up in Naples, Florida. That's a pretty prestigious place. Now, that ain't no cheap place to live. I used to live in Florida. I know Naples. Right?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes. How'd you get there? How'd that
You
happen?
know, it's so funny because I was in Detroit, and this is how I do. I'm spiritual, and I think this is how God works. It was 5 inches of snow, 32 degrees. They're calling for about 2 more inches. And like I said, it was on a Wednesday. And I said, you know what, Lord, I am tired of the snow. And I prayed about it. And I'm like, you know what, Lord, I'm ready for a change. I was in Detroit for 14 years, and I just felt like my time there was done. I needed something different. And one of my former managers, I only worked with her for about 2 years in Michigan. She had moved to Florida. And she was like, she called human resources. And she was like, it's a lady in Detroit that you really need to come down to Florida. So when they called me, believe it or not, they called me to really diversify the bank because it was really no African Americans, I think one or two women, but it was all men, all white men. And it was like, we need someone to come and diversify the bank. So when they called me, I had never heard of Naples. I had never even heard of Fort Myers. And this was 2001. I just knew about Florida, but Naples? Who heard of Naples? So when they called, the human resource lady said, well, let me tell you a little bit about the demographics. I said, okay. She's like, it's 80%. And no, she said the median age is about 80. She said the median income is about 90. And she was like, the median age, or the median age is like, no, she said 80 for the median age. And then she said median income is about 85 or 90. And, I'm like, I'm young, black, and poor. And Caucasian. She said like 90% Caucasian. And I'm like, I'm young, black, and poor. Am I going to be okay there? And she's like, you will be fine. We need you here. We need more diversity. And I came down, and it was the best thing ever. But before I left Detroit, I was working in what was at that time called the Renaissance Center, which was Ford Motor Company. And I was telling a few of my customers, I said, hey, they want to send me to some place called Naples, Florida. I had about 20 customers that came and said, oh, call me when you get there because my winter home is there. And I'm like, a winter home? Who knew people had two homes? So it has been a blessing to be relocated to Naples.
That's a beautiful story. Barbara, you've done some things. I know you like to focus in on girls and children. Why don't you tell us about that? That's
Sure, sure.
important. That's important to you. I know.
Yes, yes. It really is, especially growing up in my small town of Virginia. And my mother was a babysitter. So when I
Mm,
woke up, it was kids. Went to bed, it was children. But I knew at an early age how when you work with children, when you give them love and you give them support, how it changed them. My mother, in fact, my parents celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary about 5 years ago. And we counted up over 1,000 children my mother had raised as a babysitter. And one of the kids that had come back, his name is Maurice Anderson. I always talk about him because he went off to play in the NFL. He has 3 Super Bowl rings. And he said when my father would meet people coming to the house, he would pray for them. And I'm like, oh my God, Dad, stop praying for people. As kids, you like embarrassed. Your parents always praying for people. So he was a deacon. So when we did the 50th anniversary, Maurice came back. We call him Mo. He came back and he said, because of my father praying for him when he went to every NFL game or team, he said Hazen was just really bad. Because you think
mm,
about it, these football players are like, okay, are you coming to replace me? What are you coming to
mm,
do? So he said, the first few weeks of training, it's like the most horrible it can be. And he will always call my father and ask him to pray for him. And,
wow.
after hearing that, I'm like, wow, the things that you do for children when they grow up and they listen to you, you don't think they are, but they do.
Mm,
And they come back and they appreciate you. That I always saw in my parents made me to really love children. And had I
mm,
gone in college, I would have been a teacher because I know when you teach children at a young age, very loving, very caring, they respect you. They're going to listen to you. And although you don't think they're learning or listening, they really are. And when they come back years later, they say, oh, you taught me this, you taught me that. So although I was not a teacher by trade, when I was in my banking career, I was a teacher because I taught financial literacy. And I went to
mm,
the schools, I went to nonprofits, and I was able to teach, which was my passion. And being around children is
Mm,
definitely my passion because some of them, sometimes they don't even hear the words, I love you. Sometimes they don't
mm.
even get a hug. So if I can be there and just say, I love you, keep doing what you're doing. Maybe you've messed up, but guess what? We all have. So you have a chance to turn your life around, and,
Wow.
and that's why I love working with children.
Well, I
You
keep
know.
hearing the word love. Everywhere I go, I
Uh,
keep hearing the word love. And it seems like love is like the key to a lot of different movements in our lives for better,
yes.
right? It's the key for us to love ourselves. It's the key for us to express ourselves. It's the key for us to grow and be healthy, to be with others in a healthy way. You're heavily involved in the church that I know, right? But it's different because I know you, I've met you. It's like your whole aura is nothing but love and embracing. And, you know, what do you want to talk about on that? I'm gonna leave it up to you. I'm not even gonna ask a question because I done said enough. Everything is love with you, and I know that because you're full of it. You give it. You're always doing
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Barbara,
And
how
that's
did
it.
how did this love come about so much? What is it like? Where did it come from?
I know that we need it. We need love. And especially with this day and age, it's just so much divisiveness. And growing up in my small town, it was very loving. So, if you needed something, if you were hungry, you just went across the street. I don't care if they were white people, Hispanic, whatever. You went across the street and go, you know what? I'm hungry. And they always had welcome arms. Even when I went to Detroit, it was like everybody was just so nice. Hear about, oh
Mm,
my God, Detroit is so bad. But it wasn't. It was, like, friendly and people was willing to help, and I truly learned what it meant to raise it takes a village to
mm,
raise the children. It takes a village. We are still raising each other. We're still helping each other.
mm,
If I fell down, I felt like somebody was there to pick me up, not to keep their feet on me, but to pick me up and go, "Hey, you made a mistake, but with the love that we have, we're gonna make it right. We're gonna change that. What can we do?" And that was really all throughout my life. And I don't know if it's because, as they say, birds of a feather flock together. And that's it. I always try to be around positive people. And
mm,
the love that I try to give is that I just want someone out there to know whatever you're going through, there's somebody, a higher power that loves you more.
mm,
So don't ever feel there's nothing that you've done that you can't be forgiven for, that someone can't come out and lift you up, give you a hand, because that's what happened to me. Anytime I needed something, I knew I could ask somebody for it. So knowing that I could go and ask for it, if someone comes to me, I want to be able to do the same as someone have done for me.
wow,
You know.
that's beautiful. You speak about that love, that greater love, right? That's what got you through. That's what helped you get through everything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Even with my eye, 2019, I went to bed on a Thursday, woke up on a Friday with the detached retina. Had no clue. I didn't have any pain in my eye, didn't hurt, no, floaters or anything. But I woke up half blind. And it was truly, to me, I thought it was devastating. What am I going to do? I need my eyes. I'm like, what,
Mhm,
39, and here I am blind. It was like, to me, almost devastating, but it's almost like God was saying, "Hey, you need to slow down. You need to
mm,
accept what I'm doing for you, but you need to." I said, I was blind and now I can see because
mm,
at that time I was just running, running, running and doing so much, although I didn't think I was, but it seemed like I was doing like, it's for me, 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 me. What am I doing to help someone else? So I was
mm,
able to sit back and really take a year and focus on what do I need to do to help somebody else? I may not
mm,
always be here, but what can I do to help somebody else? And being partially blind really had me sit back and go like, what am I doing with my life? Am I
mm,
selfish? What am I doing to help others? And that's how I've always tried to live my life. But then it felt like, hey, I'm just doing so much. Is it just me, me, me? If someone say something, Barb
mm,
do this, Barb do that. I say yes, yes, yes to everybody. But was
mm,
I doing it because I wanted, elevation for myself, or was I truly doing it to help other people? And I
mm,
kept running so much. I think God was like, you know what? You're doing too much. Yeah, you want to help everybody, but you can't. You can't help everybody that's out there, although you may want to. So it gave me a better perspective on what I need to do. Slow down, help the people I can help, and the ones that I can't, I just have to pray and go on. because sometimes I was just getting so frustrated that how come I can't help? How come I can't do? I realized I can't do for everybody. And some people, I do believe they're trying to take advantage of me. As long as they
Hmm.
kept asking, I kept giving. And I had
Hmm.
to cut some people off. And I had to really sit back and go, you know what? Maybe right now they're not the right people that I need to be helping. I need to
Hmm.
look at other things. So it really gave me, it was about a year. It really gave me time to focus on me. What do I need to do so that I can be a better servant leader? And that's what it really helped me to do.
So that's really interesting because, I've heard something very similar amongst other uh, speakers, coaches, whomever. And they
Mhm.
always say, you can do better when you're better, right? You can
Right.
do
Yeah,
more when you take care of you, right?
exactly.
It's
Hmm.
like, and you don't want to have resentment. So you don't want to like sacrifice yourself and
Right.
do for others without taking care of yourself. You want to do
Mm,
like for yourself and others, if that makes
exactly.
sense, right?
Exactly.
So here you are recognizing this from a detached retina,
Right.
right? It was like, I
Yes.
can't see, but now I'm seeing,
Yes.
right? Now,
Hmm.
there's a story about how that retina got fixed. What is that one? Because you
Oh my
see quite
goodness.
well right now, I
Oh,
believe.
yeah. It's funny because it was like 5 surgeries later, and believe it or not, if I close my left eye, my right eye still never really healed. But the blessing is that with both eyes open, I have 20/20 vision. I have never
But
had 20/20 vision. So I got cataract surgery in both eyes because the doctor said if this eye is super great and the other one is not, it would be off balance. So when I got cataract surgery in both eyes, I'm like, this is wonderful. So truthfully, my right eye still never healed, but I can see out of both eyes basically because the brain is so powerful. It tells my one eye that the other eye can see. And if you think about it, if you close one eye, you really can't see out the other eye. You just don't have the best peripheral vision, but you can see out of both eyes. So your brain just go, both eyes have 20/20 vision. So I see everything as a blessing. I needed to really sit down, focus, and go slow. So I needed this detached retina to happen because every single surgery, not one hurt. I never had to take aspirin, didn't even have to take anything. When I woke up, I asked the guy, my doctor, I'm like, so when are you going to do the surgery? And he's like, it's done. And I'm like, what? I mean, that's how fast technology is. I did 15 minutes, it's done.
mm,
So what?
mm.
It was like, oh my god, even when people when they talk about cataract surgery, it's the best surgery ever. Doesn't hurt, and it's like, this is great. So I really believe God was telling me, look, I told you to stop doing so. I was on 12 boards at one time. It was too much. It was me saying yes, 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 not knowing how to say no. I needed this to happen. And I
Mhm.
always say things happen for a reason. It had to happen just so that I can appreciate myself more and the things that I was doing, you know?
I found something interesting. You said because what happened when you had the detached retina, and your faith brought you to a question of asking yourself, what do I need to do different? What am I doing that I need? What am I not doing that I need to do?
Mhm.
You went in, introspective approach. You didn't look at outside yourself and blame anyone. You
Right,
took
right.
responsibility for your life and looked at it and said, okay, this is a lesson needs to be learned here, is what I'm
Mhm.
hearing. And
Oh,
then
yes.
you learned your lesson and your eyesight is now 20/20
Yes.
as a result. And you ain't never had 20/20 before. Like, I mean, I'm
Yes,
listening to these
never.
miracles happening right here, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, and, it's funny because then we say we're not gonna talk about my husband, but truthfully, I have to because for, like, 2 years before my retina, detached retina, he said to me, "Barb, you gotta take it easy. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. You gotta stop." And I didn't listen because I said, "No, I gotta do this. I gotta do that." And I didn't think I was tired, but I guess I was. So that year, like my husband would say to me, "The world would not stop if Barbara Melvin does." He's like, the world it's going to be here. It's going to keep going. Even if you stop for, a couple hours, the world will continue. But I needed to see it because I guess I didn't believe it, and being on those boards at one time, and true enough, my job did allow me to be in the community. I was a community relations officer, but it didn't say I had to be on 12 boards. I should have been on maybe 4. 12 was way too many.
Yeah.
But
It's like,
when people came to me, it's like, yes, yes, yeah. So like I said, I needed that to happen to slow me down because if it didn't, I probably would be still doing what I was doing. And then at night was when I really felt it. When I come home, it's like, oh my goodness. When I sat down, I didn't have time for my husband. I didn't have time for other things because I was just going too much. I didn't have time for me. It's like, you know what? I needed that sit back so that I can sit up. It's
there
like,
you
hey, I
go.
need to go forward.
Right.
But I needed that. So I couldn't blame anybody. And I can only say to myself, now's the time for you, like you said, to reflect on what I need and what my husband needs, what I need for my family, you know.
That self-care and self-love came into play,
Yes.
right?
Oh yeah.
That's
Yep.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay. Now, are you still at the bank?
No, and
You
that's
you
another
know, I know the story. I know the story here, and I want to hear this story because I know what you're doing, and I know how you transition. But you got a story of Barbie. You love helping folks, and I know what you're doing right now helps people. But I
Yes,
know it
yes,
originated the idea of how you felt people just needed help was while you were at that bank or
yes,
a
yeah.
bank, not that
Right,
bank, but
right.
a bank. And because it wasn't that bank, it was in the
Right,
banking business. It was the industry itself and how it operates, right? What
right,
did you
right.
realize about the industry that saw where, that love that you have?
Right, right. And I'm gonna tell you 2 stories. The
Okay.
first one happened, 8 years ago? I was laid off from a major bank, and I started my company, Barbara Melvin Consulting. That's how that came about, was being laid off, and at that time, I was, like, 31, and I said, "Oh my goodness, I'm so young. I just wanna stay in banking." So, I stayed out on my own for about 6 months, enjoyed it, loved doing it, but I felt I was so young that I just wasn't ready to retire. I'm like, nope, I still want to go to work. So I went back to work. And fast forward, I had written down about 5 years ago in 18, I wrote down 5 things that I wanted to accomplish by 2023. One of them said that I would not be working for someone, I'll be self employed. I would have my own business. I have speaking engagements. And, I said, okay, well, in November 7th, no, November 2nd is when I wrote, the 5 things that I want to accomplish in 5 years. And on there was, I would not be working for someone else. November 7th, my boss in HR comes and said, we appreciate all that you've done, but we no longer need your services because, the bank is transitioning that your position has been eliminated. And I was like, I'm a little hurt. But then as I was cleaning out my desk, I pulled out that paper. And it was
Mm.
November 2nd, 2020, no, November 2nd, 2018. And I was laid off November 7th, 2023. And I'm like, you know what, Lord, that manifested. And I didn't even think about it. The paper was in my drawer and it happened for a reason. So when all the banks, I was like, for 6 months, I said, I'm not going to work. I'm going to enjoy life because, I got a little package and like, I can't work. I'm going to enjoy life. So when I was thinking about going back to work, my husband said, why work for one bank when you can work with them all? And the
Mm.
opportunity was even with credit. Most people were coming to us because they had bad credit. So when I started going on interviews, they thought they were interviewing me. I was interviewing them. And I was saying, hey, if you have any declined clients, would you be willing to send those clients to me? And they said, absolutely. I know every banker in town. They know me and they know how well I work. And they said, absolutely. So they are sending us their declined loans. So it's like, this is a blessing. I don't need to work for one bank. I can work with everybody. So
Wow.
it's like, what an opportunity. As I said, one door closes, for me, 5 more open.
Wow. Wow.
It's been wonderful.
Wow. You want to talk about an amazing story and jump off into your business.
Yes,
My
yes.
goodness. And it's all because you wanted to help someone.
That's
It's
it.
service. It's like, because you wanted to serve,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like, my goodness, it just comes back. It just keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. Barbara, is there anything you want to share that I haven't asked?
Well, actually, I just want to, now we got the new business of credit repair. And really, we have found out as I've been in this journey, even with home ownership, credit is
Mm,
just so important. And that's like my flagship right now that I'm focusing on because too many, unfortunately, the minority community, credit holds us back. You can't,
mm,
even going to rent, even get your gas and light bills turned on, you have to pay so much, a deposit if you have bad credit. So if
mm,
I can say to your audience, we can focus on that, I would love to because credit, as I knew before how important credit was, but now that I'm in this space, I see it even more as we're helping families to get into homes, as we're helping families with realizing that, hey, there some of them can't even get a phone because their credit is bad.
mm.
Everything is based on credit. So that is like my new mission, helping people to build their credit and to get it much, much better than what it is so that we can focus on home ownership, building wealth,
Mhm.
making sure that when we leave, let's leave a legacy, not debt. Let's leave wealth.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Do you have any contact information you can give the listening audience? I
I
know,
do.
yes. I'm sure there might be someone out here that might want to, talk to you more about it. Um,
Yes, yes.
we've got a lot of changes coming up, uh, in the industry, the real estate industry, I'm sure. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
contact us at, there we go. There we go. I see a phone number and an email, but why don't you give us that phone number?
Okay, sure. The phone number is 239-248-8474. 239-248-8474.
Okay. And the email address is
Again, that's BMR Melvin Consulting at gmail.com. Looking
wonderful.
for
Leave it up, leave it up, leave that up for a while. Let folks be able to write that down. Can you hold that at 30 seconds?
headlines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yes.
say that.
So two. That's the phone number.
Yep. There we go. There we go. That's beautiful. Barbara,
Yes.
every guest that comes on has to share something. They
All
have to
right.
share something that they've never shared in public with anyone else. This is a spill the tea moment. Now your husband may know and your friends may know and family may know, but the public may not know. So you got to drop something. I don't care if it's a story or just something, one line, but you got to spill some tea, something you have never shared
Mm,
in public before.
mm.
Come on.
Let's see. Let's see. Well, I am going to make my debut as a comedian next week. We're having a leadership choir event, and nobody knows that I'm going to be a comedian. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, I'm loving this. Yes, yes,
Never
Barbara.
done it. Never done it before. So
This is amazing. Right here on Elevate Today, you heard it first. You heard it first. Barbara Melvin will be a comedian doing stand up, right? You want to
stand
stand
up.
up.
Yes.
There you
Yes.
go.
It is at a
But
comedian place. So
wait a minute now. You got a book.
yes, yes. I have a book that'll be coming out soon. It's called In a Blink of an Eye, The Five P's of Success. So that's the title right now. It'll probably change, but it's about my eye, the surgeries that I've had. But every section is going to be what is your P's, passion, plan, purpose. What are your five P's of success? So every area is going to have something about, you. What's your purpose?
But it is not a book you read. It's a book you write it.
Yes, yes. That's how we're looking to do it. Yes. I want to
Well,
be a trainer. Yes.
it's a take action.
Yes, it
It's a
is.
plan book, right? It's a book that puts you on the path to success.
Yes, yes, I like that. The path to success. Yes, it
And it's
does. It
It's
does.
still it hasn't it's not out yet. When's the date? Because we
We're
just
looking
gonna spill tea all over the place
I
today.
love it. I love it.
When's
Actually,
when's
we're pushing it back to like 2025 because I really wanted to be ready to be really good. My publicist is wonderful. I'm going to be doing speaking engagements.
mm,
So she really wanted to make sure that it is ready. You know, we just don't want to
wow.
put something out there. So I really have a really good publisher that is just amazing. So we're saying 2025, early 2025.
Barbara, you have come from a small town. You now live in one of the richest places in this country, really, Naples. I'm aware. Right?
Yes.
You have faced financial difficulties yourself, so
Mhm.
you know how important building that credit is. You didn't tell that story. You want to just mention it briefly before we
Sure.
go ahead?
Yeah, yeah, and I love to tell it because, a few years ago, my husband he was diagnosed with cancer, and like everybody else, when you live off of 2 incomes, when one is gone, it's very tough. And like Chris said, when you live in Naples, it's a very expensive place. And another thing, I do work with Dress for Success, and one of the things I tell the ladies, never be ashamed of where you come from. I had to file bankruptcy. We had a foreclosure and, a repossession and everything seemed like it happened all at once. But again, the good thing about it is when almost like the week before we had to leave from our house because our house was being foreclosed on, I was working in the bank and I saw a young lady and she was like just crying because she had bought a condo for her mother and she was from New York. Her mother got sick and could not
Mm,
move to Naples. So she said that rent at that time or her mortgage was like $1,900. This was 3 bedroom, 3 car garage, 3 bath, beautiful 3,000 square foot. And she's like, I just need someone that could pay just the mortgage. I don't need them to pay anything else. I just need them to pay the mortgage. Here we are about to get thrown out of our house, nowhere to go. We're packing up to go to a hotel. This woman said, I need somebody. We needed somebody. There we were a match. And I wasn't even going to speak to her. I was on my way to lunch, but I saw her sitting in the lobby, just tears in her eyes. And it was
mm,
our way of connecting. And like I said, being a woman of faith is like, thank you, Lord. We were able to stay in that condo for 5 years. She never
wow.
raised the price. Everybody else was paying from $3,500 to $4,000. We're paying $1,900 on the fifth hole of a golf course. We got everything for free. We didn't have to pay to go into to the center. Everything was included in that rent. It was more
Wow.
achievable for us. 5 years later, my credit was over 700 and we bought the house that we're living in now. We're able to build it from the ground up. And it took us being foreclosed on, repossessed, bankruptcy. We were able to 5 years later get our dream home with
Wow.
an interest rate that was so good that it would not have happened 5 years before then. So I tell people, don't worry about if you have to file bankruptcy, you got to do what you got to do, and
Mhm,
now that made me humble enough to say, hey, we all go through this. I mean, look, guys, I was still a vice president of a bank,
mm,
making good money and still living off and we never lived above our means or anything. It's just that when you go from 2 incomes to one, it hurts. It hurts. So you have to prioritize. And I didn't care about giving up the house. I'm like, hey, if I need to go to a hotel and stay, you do what you have to do.
mhm,
Pride brings down people. Pride didn't bring me down. I said, hey, as long as I have a roof over my head and food on I'm good. I'm good.
right.
And I think if more people think like that, people commit suicide living in $1 million houses. Why? Just go somewhere. Who cares? Downsize, and I hear about people committing so because you had to get rid of your car that was a BMW. I drive a Kia Soul,
There we
so it's like
go.
you have to prioritize what things need to be done. So now we're living in a better place. We're in a
Mm,
much better situation, and it had to happen. So now when I'm out there talking to people about my story, they
mm,
don't see just a vice president of a bank making 6 figures. They see a for real person. I've been where
mhm,
you were. I've been there, so I
mhm,
understand it. People that have not been in your shoes, they don't understand where you come from, what you're going through. They don't
mhm,
understand it because it doesn't happen. It makes me more authentic. My story makes me more relatable to people because I
mhm.
can't say I've been where you are, and I tell
Yes.
shoot, peanut butter and jelly, we got along very well, you know?
Yes. Yes.
You know, so never fear, never fear. You know?
Barbara, we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
Is there any golden nuggets or last things you want? Because you just delivered gold right now. I ain't lying. This like we can end right here. But any little thing else, 3 things, 1 thing you want to say,
I will
right?
always say yes. I would say first, love yourself. Love whoever your higher power is, but love yourself and turn your no into a go. If someone tells you no, but you know that this is your dream, your aspiration, don't let anyone tell you you can't accomplish whatever it is that you want to do. I was a vice president with no degree. You can do it. So when the no's come, you just turn it around and say, look, it's on. You know, no doesn't mean no, it just means not now. But you turn that N-O and you say O-N, it's on.
It's on. It's on.
It's
I love it. It's on.
on.
Yeah.
And I forgot, I had one thing is that I own a nonprofit. It's called Party Hardy for Charity, where we took our birthday party and our anniversary and we turned it into a nonprofit. And this year, every year we choose a nonprofit to donate funds to. And this year we're doing Path to Freedom. So we're working with ladies
Wow.
that's been sex trafficked, human trafficked. So this our 9th year. So in October, we're looking to do it again.
Wow. Say the name of that. Say the name of that
It's
again.
called Party Hardy for Charity. Party Hardy
All
for
right.
Charity Foundation. Yes.
Wow. I love it. Thank you for
Thank
so
you.
much for loving every, our community. Thank you for loving people, for loving yourself, for loving your family, for loving God. Thank you so much because I know all of those things make you possible, right? And so really, really appreciate you so much. Thank
And
you
for
for
loving you.
and for loving
I
me.
love
All
Chris.
right. Thank you. I love you too. I love you too, Barbara. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. They don't know I call you up sometimes. I'll be like, Barbara, it's like, and we be on the phone for hours, and it's
I
like,
know. I'm like, it's 12 o'clock my time, but it's
yeah,
okay.
it's like, oh, I didn't realize it's only 9 o'clock here. I'm just like, okay, Barbara. It's like, sorry.
I'm up to
um,
2. You're good.
yeah, okay. Um, we, I can't wait to see you again. See you. But I'm glad we can meet on Zoom.
Yes.
It's like I'm so used to having that connection with you for so long. I don't want to hang up, but we're gonna have to turn it off. So I'm gonna turn off the recording. Hold on now. Let me get this
Right.
done. I always say that. We're gonna turn the recording off now, y'all. Thank you so much, Barbara Melvin, for coming
Thank you.
and being a guest on Elevate Today. Tune in every Thursday at 3 p.m. for our podcast. You can go to christompkins.com. That's my actual website. And you can literally scroll down and catch all of the podcasts, whether they are audio only or video. You can also catch them on Facebook. You can get them on Spotify or any major platform that you use for your podcasting. And in addition to YouTube. Um, the other thing I wanted to say is that we are also doing Facebook Live as a pre-show before every podcast. So it's about 2:30ish. We'll begin on Facebook Live on Thursday. Um, podcast guests will join me. We're going to have a great discussion before the podcast goes into circulation, and that'll be on Facebook Live. And that's on my Facebook page at chris.tompkins.artist because I'm an artist, y'all. Right. So chris.tompkins.artist. And that's about it. I wanted to give all that information out. I should have had it on that bottom thing. What is it? The scroller part, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I gotta get this headline thing going here. You know what I mean? Here we go. Here we go. So if you go to christompkins.com, there we go. You can watch it all there, except for the Facebook Live. That's gonna show up on Facebook. Barbara, I want you to know Barbara does a heck of a lot of work on credit repair and for not only home ownership, but business financing as well. I love Barbara's straightforwardness. And that's been my experience with it. When you're dealing with real people, you get real talk. That's it. Yes.
Oh, yes.
So I said enough. We're going to turn this off right now and we're going to have some fun because party hardy for charity.
For charity. Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Party hardy for charity. All right. Thank you, y'all, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining Elevate Today with Chris Thompkins. We really appreciate your support. We'll see you again next Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, let's elevate.